वर्धा
Microphone? Can you get the microphone? Microphone?
Oh.
So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we will be chapter 2, verse 18 through 24. Right?
We just have 18 on the board.
Oh, it's, yeah.
But
And it
because
was
there's
18
no
through
purpose.
24. Okay. So we will do the Sanskrit for this verse and continue to verse 24.
Oh. Om Namo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
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 Bhagavan Ogavat Pita.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Bhagavan Ogavat Pita.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Kanyako Bhavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Sudarshana Uvahatam.
Sudarshana Vahatam.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Bhagavan Ogavat Pita.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Sudarshana Uvahatam.
Sudarshana Vahatam. Vaso pratikastat putra.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita. Kanyacho Gavati Nama. Sudarshan Sudarshana Uvahatam.
Sudarshana Uvahatam.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Bhagavan
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Sudarshana Vahatam.
Sudarshana Uvahatam. Vaso pratikastat putra.
Vaso pratikastat putra.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Bhagavan Bhagavat Pita.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Kanyacho Gavati Nama.
Sudarshana Vahatam.
Sudarshana Vahatam.
Vaso Pratikastat Putra Ugavanukavadpita Kanya Chaugavati Nama Sudarshana Vahatam. Vaso Pratikastat Putra Ugavanukavadpita Kanya Chaugavati Nama Sudarshana Vahatam. Vaso Avasu Pratikaha
Nin Pitaka.
Tat Putraha his son Ogavan
named Ogavan.
Ogavatpita
Who was the father of Ogavan.
who was the father of Ogavan.
Kanya,
Kanya.
his daughter. Cha, also. Ogavati,
Ogavati.
Nama,
Nama.
by name. Sudarshana,
Sudarshana.
Uvaha, married. Tam, that daughter. Ogavati. Translation: the son of Vasu was Pritaka, whose son was Ogavan. Ogavan's son was also known as Ogavan, and his daughter was Ogavati. Sudarshana married that daughter. So I'll continue to the next verse. From Narishanta came a son named Chitrasena, and from him a son named Riksha. From Riksha came Nidvan, from Nidvan came Purna, and from Purna came Indrasena. From Indrasena came Vitihotra, and from Vitihotra came Satyashrava. From Satyashrava came the son named Urushrava, and from Urushrava came Devadatta. From Devadatta came a son known as Agni Vaishya, who was the fire god Agni himself. This son, who was a celebrated saint, was well known as Kanina and Jatukarnya. There's a small purport here. Agni Vaishya was also known as Kanina and Jatukarnya. O king, from Agni Vaishya came a Brahminical dynasty known as Agni Vaishyayana. Now that I have described the descendants of Narishyanta, let me describe the descendants of Dishta. Please hear from me. Dishta had a son by the name Nabaga. This Nabaga, who was different from the Nabaga described later, became a Vaishya by occupational duty. The son of Nabaga was known as Bhalandana. The son of Bhalandana was Vatsapriti, and his son was Pramshu. Pramshu's son was Pramati. Pramati's son was Kanitra. Kanitra's son was Chakshusha, and his son was Vivimshati. So I'll read the purport. From Manu, one son became a Kshatriya, another a Brahmana, and another a Vaishya. This confirms the statement by Narada Muni, Yasya yal lakshanam proktam, pum so varna bhivyanjakam. Bhagavatam 7:11-35. One should always remember that Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas should never be regarded as members of a caste by birth. A Brahmana may be changed into a Kshatriya and a Kshatriya into a Brahmana. Similarly, a Brahmana or Kshatriya may be changed into a Vaishya and a Vaishya into a Brahmana or Kshatriya. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. So one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, never by birth, but by quality. There is a great need of Brahmanas. Therefore, in the Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to train some Brahmanas to guide human society. Because at present, there's a scarcity of Brahmanas. The brain of human society is lost. Because practically everyone is a Shudra, no one at the present moment can guide the members of society to the proper path by which to achieve perfection in life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishwadaya Krishmasaya Kadeshmadhyana Namo Vishwadaya Krishmasaya Kadeshmadhyana Swami Namaste So, unfortunately I wasn't here for many of the classes in the past few weeks. But looking over this chapter and actually the beginning of this canto, you can see that there's a lot of interesting stories, especially in the first chapter about this transformation of Sudumya, who had to change into a woman every other month, right? And you can just realize through all these stories and through all the history of dynasties and lineages that everything is already has been done, basically. We think that we're always, in the material world, we're inventing new things, like we have a new style of doing something, or we come out with a new song or a new movement. But actually, if we study Bhagavatam, we can see that everything was already done. So by studying Bhagavatam, we can understand actually what is the purpose of life, and not to dwell into creating new fashions or new let's say movements, new styles, because this has all been already created by Krishna. He is the creator of everything, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. And just as, like, for instance, this Sudumya transforming into a woman. So this is, like, for instance, at the present, the transgender movement is gaining popularity. The goal is not to enter into these, not to follow some of these personalities, but to understand the essence of the stories within the Bhagavatam. Why all these stories are created is to understand the goal. The goal of life is to understand God. And linking this to this verse, Prabhupada said, there's a great need of Brahmanas. So the Brahmana means one who knows God and teaches others to be God conscious. So this is actually the goal of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, is not to try to imitate any social behaviors, but to actually follow the instructions given by exalted personalities. So, I just wrote down a few points about these divisions of society, this Chaturvarnam, Mayashishtam. So the divisions, Prabhupada says in one of his classes, speaking about this verse, that the divisions are natural, and that so in the verse it says there's 4 divisions, but actually there's 8 divisions when you talk about Varnashram Dharma. Varna is classified into 4. That's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And the ashrams, we know, is the Grihastha, Varnaprastha, Sannyas. I forget what's Brahmachari, sorry. And so actually, if Prabhupada said if we divide these society in these 8 divisions, we can actually have a prosperous existence. And so the material world is working under the 3 modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And Prabhupada says, so we cannot classify everyone under one standard. Why? Because everyone is working under the 3 modes of material nature. And under these 3 modes, you can get so many different varieties of life. So, in the Brahmana division, Brahmana is classified under the mode of goodness, Kshatriya under the mode of passion, and Vaishya is mixed qualities, mixed gunas, and Shudra in the mode of ignorance. And of course, Srila Prabhupada tells us that in this age we are all Shudras, but we can elevate ourselves, like it says in this verse, and like it says, Prabhupada quoted this verse in the Bhagavatam 7:11:35, that Narada Muni states that you can change your varna or your class according to your behavior. And so I just wanted to read this translation.
I'm sorry, Krishna Prasad. Did you say, I'm just making a note, did you say Vaishya is passion and ignorance, or?
Vaishya is mixed.
Of which one?
The 3 gunas.
Oh, 3, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. So, in this verse, Prabhupada quoted Narada Muni. He says, if one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So this is why Srila Prabhupada, he was perfect in his attempts to spread Krishna consciousness, because he didn't work according to this very strict Vedic idea that, if you're born into a Shudra, you cannot elevate yourself to a Brahminical standard. Srila Prabhupada was criticized, for making the Western devotees or the Shudra class as in India, the caste Brahmanas, they would consider all the Westerners Shudras, and even to this day, for instance, like in the temple of Jagannath Puri, Westerners cannot enter because they're classified under Shudra caste. So this is, very revolutionary. But Prabhupada has had everything to back up his way of spreading Krishna consciousness, and this is one of the verses that back it up. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, herein it is clearly stated by Narada Muni that one should not be accepted as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra according to the birth. For although this is going on now, it is not accepted by the Shastras. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Thus, the four divisions of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, are to be ascertained according to the qualities and activities. If one was born in a Brahmana family and has acquired the Brahminical qualifications, he is to be accepted as a Brahmana. Otherwise, he should be considered a Brahma Bandhu. Similarly, if a Shudra acquires the qualities of a Brahmana, although he was born in a Shudra family, he is not a Shudra because he has developed the qualities of a Brahmana. He should be accepted as a Brahmana. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to develop these Brahminical qualities. Regardless of the community in which one was born, if one develops the qualities of a Brahmana, he should be accepted as a Brahmana, and he then may be offered the order of sannyasa. Unless one is qualified in terms of the Brahminical symptoms, one cannot take sannyas. In designating a person a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, birth is not the essential symptom. This understanding is very important. So, like in India, they make a lot of importance on the birth, but here in Bhagavatam we see Srila Prabhupada is saying it's not important, it is equality. Herein, Narada Muni distinctly says that one may be accepted according to the caste of his birth if he has the corresponding qualifications, but otherwise he should not. One who has attained the qualifications of Brahmana, regardless of whether he was born, should be accepted as a Brahmana. Similarly, if one has developed the qualities of a Shudra or Chandala, regardless of where he was born, he should be accepted in terms of those symptoms. So, continuing on with understanding the divisions and associated with the three modes of material nature. So Prabhupada said, if we transcend the three modes, then there are no more divisions. We become transcendental. And if one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, immediately he transcends the three modes. And we become Brahma in nature. And this is actually the healthy condition of life. So we know that we're in this material world to reform ourselves. This is our unhealthy condition, being separate from Krishna. And the healthy condition is to know Krishna, to know who he is, how to serve him, and to reconnect. So this Brahma condition can only be fully regained by being engaged fully, 100% in Krishna consciousness. And this is the verse, Brahma Bhuya, Bhuyaya Kalpate. So Srila Prabhupada stresses the importance of rising to the Brahmana platform, because the Brahmins are the most intellectual class, and but we need all the divisions to cooperate. And if actually all the divisions of society cooperate nicely, we can find prosperity. So Prabhupada said these divisions are required. It's not that everyone should become a brahmana. And sometimes, I know in Mayapur when I was there, there was a big focus to elevate everyone to the Brahminical standard. Of course, not everyone can, let's say, display these qualities. We can try, but of course, Srila Prabhupada wanted us, to elevate ourselves to that standard. But all the divisions are required. Just like the example was given that when you have the parts of the body, they are all cooperating for one thing. What is that one thing?
Mind.
What?
Mind?
No.
The stomach.
The stomach, yes. They're all cooperating to feed the stomach. So you have, the brain. What is the brain doing?
Controlling the senses? Or giving...
The brain is utilized to gain money, right? To work in order to buy food for the stomach. So, in the same way, the brain is, talking about the four divisions, the brahmanas of society, they're there to guide us, to make us understand what the purpose of life is. Okay, so, also Srila Prabhupada makes the point that, currently we have these divisions, and the only thing is that they're not cooperating, and that's why you have all the time, you see strikes, you see
manifestation.
the manifestation, yes, the strikes all over the place, people are unhappy, because there's no cooperation. So this is a good point for us to understand, even within our society. Sometimes there's a lack of cooperation, so we see that we cannot accomplish a lot of the amazing projects or goals of the Krishna consciousness movement to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. So, another point is that, so in Krishna consciousness, we're told that we can transcend even the four classes of men, even the Brahmana class. So why can't we transcend that class? We think that this is the highest. And Prabhupada states that that most of the Brahmanas, what they can do, they can only approach the impersonal Brahman manifestation of God. And this is not the highest. So their knowledge is limited. And so transcending these four, or even the Brahmana class, is the elevation to Krishna consciousness. So this is the perfection, is knowing Krishna. Like we said in the beginning, that the Brahmana means one who knows God and teaches others to become God conscious. And yes, if there's no Brahmana that can elevate one to Krishna consciousness, then that's animal society. Animal society is just performing the four acts of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So you see that this is happening in our society. That's why we are misguided, and there's always unruly behavior, there's unhappiness, and people are actually looking for a direction in life, and they're not finding it. So Srila Prabhupada also talks about that there's never any scarcity. So we've just been reading about the all the dynasties. This this personality gave birth to this personality. What does that all mean to us? We have no idea. But he's stating that like King, who is it? Dhritarashtra. I'm sorry. Okay, I think it's Dhritarashtra. He gave birth to 100 sons. What is it? Yeah, Dhritarashtra. He gave birth to 100 sons, and there was never any talk of overpopulation, because the understanding is that Krishna can maintain that's the verse in the Vedas. It says Ekayo Bahunam Vidadatu Kaman. He is the one that can maintain so many, the chief, and he can maintain innumerable populations. He was also stating in one lecture that there's so much vacant land. You can see here also so much vacant land, and that in previous times there were kings of dynasties that had so many dependents, hundreds. We're reading how many sons this person has, how the dynasties were populated. So, in the present time, we're stating that there's an overpopulation. Why? Because we can see that there's people in poverty. They have no place to stay. They have nothing to eat. But why is this happening? Srila Prabhupada said is because we have encroached upon Krishna's property, and we are not understanding that everything belongs to Krishna. But if we change our consciousness to understand that this is Krishna's property, and we should offer everything to Krishna first, then we won't have, if we take to Krishna consciousness, basically that's what Prabhupada is saying, we won't have these difficulties to overcome. We'll have no more struggles in living in this world to reform ourselves. So within this world we can actually experience prosperity and focus on the real goal of life. So, let's see, a few points I missed. So going back to the gunas, through the modes of material nature, the influence of the modes of material nature, you get so many different varieties of bodies, and there's so many mixtures. So with Prabhupada gives this mathematical analysis. So there's 3 modes, and with the combinations, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81. So you can get 81 mixes of gunas. And he also said something interesting that within these 3 qualities, so the varna means color or qualities, like blue color, red color, and yellow color. I don't think I've heard of red color and yellow collar. I don't know if anybody knows the significance. I've heard of white collar and blue collar. White collar is the
original 3 colors.
The original 3 colors. I don't know if anybody knows knows about this, but
Non, on dit c'est les couleurs primaires, les trois premières couleurs primaires,
wait, mais
à partir desquelles on fait tous les autres.
how is it associated with the colors? So basically, in America they say white collar. Those are the ones that earn over 100,000 a year, right? And the blue collar are the working class, the middle class. But anyway, you get all these mixes. You can get 81 different mixes of modes of nature. And there's, of course, 8,400,000 species of life. So according to the gunas, you get a specific body where you can play out. Karmana, different. Deva Nitrena, that's the verse where we get different types of bodies associated with these three modes of nature. But Prabhupada always talks about the positive alternative, so liberated life, where you transcend the three modes of nature means a life of freedom. And this is spiritual life, is freedom. The living entity in spiritual life, there's more of them than those that are in conditioned life. So the example is that, within our society we have those that are in the jail, but we know that there's more of us outside of the jail than inside of the jail. So for us here, being in the material world in conditioned life, there's less of us than those that are liberated. So this is a positive point that, yes, we're just a few here, but there's a process to reform ourselves, and we can go back to being part of the mainstream, those that are liberated.
We are in the minority.
We are in the minority. Yeah.
Some Prabhupada said minority fools. Majority, the greater majority is in the spiritual world. And that's liberated life.
Right. Another point Prabhupada was saying is that, we think we're free. We want to go to the moon planet, or we want to go here and there, but we're so restricted and limited. I mean, even right now we know to do any traveling outside of France is difficult. There's complications. But those that are liberated, like Narada Muni, he's free to go all over the place, all over the universe. And so that's another word is sarvabha. The living entities were liberated; they can go anywhere. And yes, so to wrap this part of the discussion, Prabhupada puts the importance, of course, in the Krishna consciousness movement. We are trying to train some brahmanas to guide human societies because there's a scarcity of brahmanas. The brain of human society is lost. So this is our work in the Krishna consciousness movement, to elevate ourselves and to try to be examples to others as much as we can, because this is the need of the hour. It's actually, and you can see in most of Srila Prabhupada's purports that it's an emergency situation. And we should utilize our time very carefully so that we can make the most impact on this world. And that is to distribute this knowledge of self-realization. So I'll stop here on Bhagavatam, and then I thought I should speak a little bit about Madhvacharya because it's his appearance today. Any questions on comments or corrections on Bhagavatam? Okay. So, I was told that actually it was Madhavendra Puri's appearance, and I just see his Madhvacharya, so I'll just read a little bit about Madhvacharya. Sri Madhvacharya appeared in 1238 AD near Udupi, Karnataka in South India. He was considered an incarnation of Vayu, the wind god. He had an unusually strong physique and extraordinary intellectual power. Once a fierce Bengali tiger attacked Madhvacharya's sannyasa disciple, Satyatirtha. Madhvacharya wrestled the tiger and sent him away with his tail between his legs. Madhvacharya took Diksha at age 5, sannyasa at 12, and left home. He appeared with a mission to fight and defeat Sankara's Mayavad impersonal philosophy. By giving a pure interpretation of Vedanta Sutra, he promoted pure theism. He named his innovative Shastric explanation Dvaita Dvaita Vada, pure dualism. It's amazing. He named his innovative Shastric explanation. Innovative. Whenever we hear pure Krishna consciousness, it seems like it's always so innovative because we're so conditioned to accepting, materialistic philosophies or trained of thoughts. And it's always so refreshing to get in contact with pure knowledge. So after Shankaracharya, who had previously toured India spreading impersonalism, Madhvacharya also traveled the length and breadth of India preaching personal theism and devotion to Lord Vishnu. He defeated innumerable Jains, Buddhists, Mayavadis, atheists, logicians, and agnostics. With the hope of meeting Srila Vyasadeva himself, Madhvacharya walked up the Himalayas. Vyasadeva gave him a Shalagram Shila called Ashtamurti, approved his Bhagavad Gita commentary, and blessed Madhvacharya with deeper realizations of the Shastras. In Udupi, Madhvacharya installed a beautiful deity of Gopala, standing alone, holding a cowherd stick. This deity manifested from within a chunk of Gopi Chandan, sacred clay. He established 8 matas, temples, to lovingly serve Udupi Krishna. So you have, I know many South Indian devotees who worship this deity, or a lot of who are actually in the Madhva line, and they have such good qualities. They're so cultured people. The sannyasa leaders of each mata worship the Krishna deity with a rigorous regimen of ceremonial ritual, punctuality, and impeccable personal conduct. Every Ekadashi they observe nirjala, total fast, raw food and water. This is still happening today. Another example from a family, South Indian family I know, they're actually Brahmin family, and the children also, follow some of the standards. Of course, it's not to show a proper standard. But anyway, the one devotee I know, the son, he was wearing a Brahmin thread already, young boy, and he was following Nirjala Ekadasi, even though he wasn't, participating really in devotional service or doing, he wasn't initiated or doing any other kind of sadhana, but this was ingrained in him to follow. The Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya originates with the Madhvas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers thoroughly studied Madhva's works before compiling their philosophy. For the Sat Sandarbhas, Sri Jiva Goswami drew heavily from Madhva's writings. Jiva Goswami found the Gaudiya philosophy of Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva in Madhva's Bhagavad Padya. Sri Chaitanya himself visited Udupi, the seat of Madhva's sect. The Lord introduced Harinam Sankirtan into their sect. Amazing. The Madhvas and Gaudiyas share many of the same philosophical points. Both consider it necessary to surrender to the lotus feet of the Guru Pada Shraya. In Sutra Bhasya, Madhvacharya cites the Brihad Tantra and Mahasamhita to show that a disciple may reject a bogus guru who proves to be useless. He may then accept another qualified, self-realized person as his guru. Haribol. In Prameya Ratnavali, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana summarized the 9 principles common to both Sri Chaitanya's and Madhva's teaching. In Vaishnava Siddhanta Mala, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered all Gaudiya Vaishnavas to carefully observe the 9 instructions of truth given by Sri Madhvacharya through our Guru Parampara. So these are the 9 teachings of Sri Madhvacharya. Bhagavan Shri Krishna alone is the supreme absolute truth, one without a second. Number 2, he is the object of knowledge in all Vedas. Number 3, the universe is real, Satya. Number 4, the differences between Ishvara, God, Jiva, the soul, and matter are real. Number 5, Jiva souls are by nature the servants of the Supreme Lord Hari. Number 6, there are 2 categories of jivas, liberated and illusion. Number 7, liberation, moksha, means attaining the lotus feet of Bhagavan Krishna. In other words, entering an eternal relationship of service to the Supreme Lord. All these points are definitely to defeat all the Mayavadis and all the sects coming from the Vedas that have degraded in the philosophy. Number 9, the truth may be known by pratyaksha, direct perception, anuman, inference or logic, and shabda, spiritual sound or Vedic authority. And, I forgot number 8. Pure devotional service to Krishna is the only way to attain this liberation. Okay, so these are the 9 instructions, and Sri Madhvacharya serves as Madhavi Gopi in the Radha Govinda's eternal Vrindavan pleasure pastimes. Hari Bol, Sri Madhvacharya ki jai. Anybody want to add anything or stories?
Je peux traduire après?
Ok, je vais essayer.
C'est très bref.
Okay.
Juste à propos de...
He has a comment.
J'ai appris récemment qu'il a quitté son corps à 79 ans.
He learned recently that Madhvacharya left his body at 79 years old.
Et il a quitté son corps en pleine discussion, assis sur le Vyasasana, en train de donner la classe.
Wow. So he left this body while giving a class in full discussion.
Et il avait une chada, une chada et il a disparu d'un seul coup, la chada est restée.
Wow.
Et il a disparu.
So he just disappeared. That's how he left, and he had a chadar wrapped around him, and so what was left was the chadar.
He didn't leave a body behind.
Il a
No,
pas laissé de
nobody.
corps derrière lui.
Yeah, he didn't leave anybody behind.
Et ce Vyasasana est toujours à Udupi, est toujours là, on peut toujours il est vénéré d'ailleurs, il est toujours là.
Okay, so this Vyasasana is always there in Udupi. It's worshipped, and you can go and visit. Hari Bol.
Hey, boy.
So many amazing places in India to go visit. Anybody else have anything? We're going to stop there. Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ki Jai.
Yes.
Srila Madhvacharya.
Jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Jai. Hari Bol.
What is Ramanujacharya?
Another one.
What? Oh, tomorrow. Okay. All the greats from South India. We should do South Indian feasts.
Probably they won't be eating there, you know.
So today is the day for the Brahman Bhadva Guru Prestaya because of Madhvacharya, and tomorrow is for the Sri Vaishnavas, the Ramanujacharya. So today the remnants from them, and then tomorrow South Indian remnants from Ramanujacharya.
Jai Ho.
Very nice class. Thank you, Krishna.
Okay.
Usually